All right, so quickly before the podcast begins, I just want to preface it by saying that my audio got really messed up in the podcast, so my voice is going to sound really deep. It's going to sound a little weird. I edited out most of the parts I was in just because it sounded really weird. But nevertheless, it is a great episode. Jesse and Teo were great guests, so I hope you guys enjoy.
Good evening, everybody, friends and family from near and far. My name is Jake Wild, along with my co-pilot, Alex Dempsey. And today we have two very exciting guests on. We have, you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Jesse.
I'm Jesse Schmalholz.
I'm Matthew Levy.
So, just to preface this a little bit, Matthew and Jesse are, they work with Bobcat TV at the school, and they run I guess you could call it a sports commentary type of program that they put out. It's called the Byron Blitz. But Matthew on the side also has a podcast of his own. You guys should totally check out his playlist if you're into sports or if you just want to hear a great podcast. So check out One Reaction with Levy.
Appreciate it.
Matthew, we just want to ask you how you got the idea to start your own podcast.
So I can tell like a little background story. I know Jesse and Jake both know this, how you've been into announcing since forever.
Yeah.
Announcing in my room and doing weird stuff with that, announcing live television by myself. That's what I did. And then, so as I got to high school, and Jesse and I experimented with building the Byron Blitz, which was something I always thought about. Sports show, like a ESPN, like NFL Live type of thing.
Right.
My inspiration. I was thinking, like, what do we have here? Why can't I start my own? And I remember talking to experts in local, Kevin Devaney and Justin Walters, and talking to these guys. He's from 5S1, and they told me, make your own brand. So I was like, how do I do that? I remember looking up a website. I don't know if I'm into that. And then I was like, okay, I remember listening to Bill Simmons, and I'm like, okay, let's dive into this podcast thing. And I just started speaking my mind. And the rest is the rest.
Totally. And so Jesse, how did you find out that you wanted to be a part of the whole Byron Blitz thing? Did you
I feel like it all started when my brother and his friend Sam Hollander were best friends and were co-presidents of Bobcat TV.
Right.
Before they left to go to college. And then when they left, I was the next president up to bat. And right before they left, they kind of planted the seed of the whole idea of like a whole sports media side of the club, whether that was, at that point, it was just commentating. And at that point, I had someone else doing it, Eli Roth. Yeah. He was into it, but wasn't committed to it, wasn't exactly his thing. And we noticed that pretty soon after. And then right away, I think, Jake, you're on the same boat as me. Teo was the one to do it with me.
Totally.
And so once he got on board with me and we started getting in a rhythm, then I kind of felt like this can turn into something.
Totally. And
started getting into the schedules. And I feel like if you look at like our first, I think you can nod to this too, Teo. Like if you look at our first game, we were talking over each other. It was a mess. It was a complete mess. And Jake, you've even gone on with me once in a while before you were here. Yeah. And we were talking over each other. It's like you need to take time and like get in the rhythm of knowing how each other talk. And I feel like by the end of the first year, we were like much more professional with how we did with it. And then it went from there.
Yeah. So how'd you guys split up your duties like within the announcing for like a game? Yeah. So how did you decide who was going to talk about what in the setting of a game?
Okay, so I think like from the first game, I think we both knew. I don't know. We both we started doing it, and we would switch off a little bit, and we started to find this like natural rhythm, as Jesse mentioned. We would speak over each other, and it got like we noticed, and then. I think some point I would give him like a cue. I would like touch him. I would give him a little knock or something. Or it would be more, as we got better, it would be more of like a flow. So I would say something, I would pause and then give him the floor. And it would kind of be like this back and forth that we just got accustomed to. I think it was more practice than just like set in stone. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. It's more of like a flowing thing. I think Jesse can attest. Over these past couple of weeks without sports, which is very dear to my heart, I know it's a lot of your hearts. So I've been thinking, like, how can I? Because like it's hard to work on the run reaction. So I'm like, what do I do now? So I've been thinking, how do I relate it to the outside world? To like now I've had this habit. I've turned into like a music guy. I like rap. So every Thursday night, 12 a.m., I'm listening to those rap music. I'm thinking, how can I do this and bring it to that One Reaction brand? And this reminds me of back in sophomore year, like, what if we had that opportunity to expand beyond sports? Mm-hmm. I was also talking about this with like Global Scholars. We had an exit interview, I think last week, and they were asking how would you have made it better? And I was like, what if we expanded the Byron Blitz just sports and made it like a total network of things? So if Jesse and I had our show, and then let's say 2 other people had a show about something, a different topic, and I think that would have been more. I think it would have been just better, and it's just one of these crazy ideas I've had.
I think one important thing, like what we've developed with the Byron Blitz and that brand, and what you still have with the One Reaction with Levy, is like both of them, the name doesn't scream sports, right?
It does.
So so the Byron Blitz, you're right, could have been anything, and One Reaction with Levy still can be anything. So I think that's important, like when you're making a brand like that, to like, when in doubt, make it more general. So because you don't know where it takes you.
Yeah, I think that I think that totally speaks to forming any type of brand. Like so if I were to put out some sort of music brand or anything, like say I were to start some sort of management company or something with music, if you keep it open, you could manage a lot of these companies you see managing like, I don't know if you guys know the podcast, like Cody Co. I don't know if you've seen him on YouTube. So YouTuber, but he makes rap music as a joke, but people like it and people like his podcast.
Yeah.
So he gets signed by like a Warner or something, and they start to develop his content because they realize, why not? People like him. He has an audience, and you might as well like develop his content under the label name. So do you find that like Teo, I mean, I've seen you and Jesse too, but Teo, with your own podcast, do you find that it's been hard to advertise your content? How have you find that the best way to advertise it is, meaning like promoting podcasts and stuff?
Yeah, I find it much harder. I thought the Instagram, that's why I kind of switched to Instagram for a little bit. Those Instagram videos, like I think more attraction to people. Like in terms of my thing for sports, I think people don't want to listen to a 20-minute show of me just talking about sports. And the reason, like, just in terms of this podcast, you guys have, I think, a brand of like, this is like, all right, we're going to bring people on. We're going to bring on a new perspective each week. And it has that brand, which is something you need, because I was experimenting. Because I have a lot of thoughts in my brain about sports, so I just dive right into it, right? And not everyone wants to listen to me rant about the Giants. So maybe condensing it to those 5-minute videos, everyone's talking about One Reaction with Levy. That really caught on how I say that in the beginning of each video.
And
what I think worked.
I'll just make a point and then you guys can go. Just totally think about it in like the terms of like, I was thinking about, you go to like Teo, I know that you've went to some sort of announcing camp, right?
Yes.
Or like some sort of sports type camp. You go there, you could rant to these kids about announcing for hours and they probably wouldn't get bored. You could talk about sports for hours and they probably wouldn't get bored because you found this environment and this bubble where you're around so many like-minded individuals. That's the type of person that you are going to aim your brand towards. I find that for me, like I went to Berklee College of Music the past few summers, and I could talk about chord progressions and random crap about music for hours, and they won't get bored. You kind of you have to find the people that are really going to care about it. Like that's why for this we were like, people care about other people in our school. People want to learn more about other people that they don't know, and it's almost like a spotlight type of thing. You two have both been some of my best friends from the start, and it's just like, it's almost, I think about it in the way that like, there's those kids that you love in our grade and that you always appreciated as like a school friend, right? That you had classes with every year, and that you're going to go to college and you might not be with them, and you're never going to hang with them outside of school, but you'll miss their presence. So I was just thinking about that a lot. Like, I just remember when
that in between relationship.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That you're not comfortable with, like saying like you're both in arm, like, oh, let's like go to Bagel Emporium and
Totally.
like catch up. You're not at that level yet. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's the people that you're really sad to see go, not like the people that you like FaceTime with all the time or see when you get
because
home.
it's like you three are people that I'm going to want to spend, even when I'm outside of high school, I'm going to want to spend time and like putting it into our relationship. Like if I'm home and I know you're home, I'm going to say, let's meet up. Let's like hang out or something and get a bagel. But like there's certain kids that you're not necessarily going to have that. So kind of to switch gears a little bit, we kind of always start off and we ask people just like a basic question, but I think it's definitely layered a lot.
Yeah.
How has your quarantine been? How have you been staying mentally healthy and like how have you been passing time?
Yes.
How about in passing time? Well, one kind of funny way to do it that I've been doing it is my brother and I have been doing some big Legos, like staying busy with some like legit really good Legos, and just throughout the day we switch every 15 steps, and we made a Bugatti, we made like a cool red crane.
Sick.
And so we've been doing that. I've been staying busy that way. Been watching Netflix, doing some occasional homework when I have to. Trying to stay fit, playing basketball outside, which I really have never done on my driveway in such a long time.
Totally. What about you, Matt?
So I'm a very task-oriented person, and when I don't have anything to do, I try to create tasks for myself. And I'm not one of those people that's going to sleep till 12 p.m. and just do homework and then eat dinner and then, all right, next day, I need to do something. So I've been waking up earlier than probably every person in the school, like 8. I know that's crazy, but I don't think anyone wakes up that early.
Wow.
Yeah.
8:30 and just trying to figure out stuff.
Respect that.
Yeah. Just trying to figure out stuff to do, whether it's thinking of these new ideas for one reaction or even homework, because it kind of makes me feel like, okay, I'm back at school. It kind of feels normal. Or even meeting up with my friends at IBM. 6 feet apart, of course. But just seeing others, or even working out and running with my sister, or doing some activity. Just because I'm a very social person. So it makes it's hard right now. So
it is hard.
Seeing anyone, like today we saw our cousins for the first time outside, 6 feet apart, but it was a good thing to do. We played video games. It's just something, it's great to interact, and that's something I've been really quarantined.
Our generation, I feel like, is so dependent on structure. Like we're so used to going to school and having people tell us like, you're going to do this for 15 minutes, then we're going to switch gears, we're going to do this for 20 minutes. Like I feel like we're so used to that, and it comes from our parents too, because when we're young, our parents set up schedules for us. It's definitely a tough time.
And also, like, it's such a simple thing, but like, it's kind of hard to figure out what to have for lunch for every day.
Yeah.
Right? I know it's such a small thing, but I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. Like, you just like walk into the cafeteria and have someone like make a panini for you, or like you have like someone scoop some like pasta onto your plate. But then when you have to like walk into your kitchen and like make it's different.
Have you guys been watching any shows to keep yourself busy? Any or movies?
I am just about to finish Ozark. Season 3 better than 1 and 2. Very good. Love the characters. Love the acting. Recommended.
Yeah. Have you seen Breaking Bad?
Oh well, I was about to talk about that. I finished it a couple weeks ago, and it's the best show in the world. Right when you get off of this, look up on Google best TV episode of all time.
Yeah.
The number one thing that will come up on Google is a Breaking Bad episode in the last season.
Yeah.
And right after I finished that, I couldn't stop talking about it. I watched the movie, the El Camino movie, and then now I'm in the middle of Better Call Saul, which is like a prequel of it. Yeah, I was also thinking, like, imagine this in like 5-10 years. Like, this is gonna be a textbook chapter, right?
Totally. Yeah, I was totally thinking
100%.
Right? Like, Mr. Torres is gonna like the equivalent of Mr. Torres would definitely be teaching that.
We'll be writing DBQs about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's crazy. I think that we all could predict and everything, but I don't know if anyone would have predicted that school would have been closed the whole year.
Yeah, no.
It's crazy.
I remember like going to Savino's room and like looking at that Corona map and like, oh my God, like the first case in New York, first case in the US. Like, we were freaking out about that.
So
like,
fast.
oh no, school's not going to close. It happens so fast. It's crazy.
No.
But in a way, don't you think it was naive for us to think that like when there was cases in Westchester, like I remember everybody saying, and I remember I was in physics and people were like, I don't want to be the first one to get coronavirus. Like there are definitely so many people in Armonk that have unfortunately had it at this point. And it's like, we were naive to think that like it would have been a one thing and then like moved out almost, you know?
Yeah.
Just like it's a virus and it's gonna spread.
Phase.
Yeah. It's upsetting. To switch gears a little bit, so obviously like everybody has their own thing that they do to keep themselves busy or like an after school type of thing when school is in session. Have you found that you've been able to do anything that's been able to like reach a new level creatively in something that you love? So like for me, music, for Teo, for like announcing, like have you found that you've been able to do something to like reach the next level and keep working at it during this time?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so I've kind of seen like this evolution, and I think it kind of speaks to like my high school career in a way.
Yeah.
So starting off the quarantine, it was like the draft, and that was literally all I could focus on for 2 weeks. I literally just sat here and just analyzed every single play in the draft. I'm not kidding. Every single play. I can tell you the mid-round guys and give you.
That's awesome.
That's literally what I did, and then I was like, all right, and then that was over, and I was like, where? That was kind of like my bridge. I was like, all right, we got the draft. So
everything's back to normal for a little bit.
Yeah.
And once the draft passed, I was like, okay, now what do I do? So now in the past couple weeks, I've been trying to get into like other stuff. So every time, for example, with the music, like I've been trying to get into new music and trying to listen, trying to be like big wild with that, but just trying to hear new music, maybe implement it. And I'm always thinking like I go on these big runs and I'll think, how can I implement this? How can I do this? And I've been trying to bring these all ideas, and that's something I've tried to do creatively. And also even like politics or business, just anything that just any news like kind of excites me because there's people, and that's what drives me to do any of this, is that I get to interact and talk about people and like other people. And just trying to do this is something I've been trying to do these past couple of weeks, trying to implement sports, and it's
and before I say something, like one thing you could do, like if you're listening to music, you could do a music breakdown. You could break down a song, right? You can break down the lyrics, one reaction with Levy, right? I'm sure you've thought about that, but like you've seen those YouTube song reactions, right?
Yeah,
they got tons of views.
If you ever want to like have me on or like talk about like certain types of production, even like, because you could totally like compare different genres of music, talk about music production. I think that stuff's awesome, and I think people are interested in it because everyone loves music no matter what genre they love.
Of course.
So totally do that.
Totally agree.
I think one other thing, like one thing is like the interest, but going back to like the Byron Blitz thing, like even though it like kind of sucks that we like had to do these like virtual interviews, also it was different, right? Like you got to mix it up a bit. It was new and fresh, and like seeing all like the virtual things, like the virtual draft, which I thought they did an amazing job on.
Yeah.
Like I don't think anyone has like met that
so
level
well
of like seamlessness with like virtual stuff. But like it's kind of cool seeing like all of the different like how like the voice. Jake, I know you usually like the voice. Have you been keeping up with it? Yeah. Like how they've started the live shows and have been doing it remotely, and American Idol too. Like it's actually kind of cool to see like what people have come up with in different ways.
It's making people more creative.
Yeah.
I mean, it totally is. It's making people think about different ways that they can do things. It's almost like we in school sometimes we get this like one track mind, like an assignment has to be done this way. It has to be done this way. Like it's totally caused people to completely think outside of the box, and maybe cause not that creative people to have to think creatively on how they can implement different things into their like styles of work. Totally. Yeah. So something that David Gold, he asked us a question. It's twofold. So first part of the question, I'd like to finish off the interviews with this, is just
What's your favorite athlete? Who do you like to look at?
Is that what Teo asks?
I had to say it.
Is that what Teo likes to ask?
That's our last question on every interview.
So, something that, so David asked us, he asked us two parts of this question. The first part is that what would you like your legacy to be as you leave Byram Hills and you move on to this next chapter? The next part of the question is actually you guys can answer that first. So what would you like your legacy to be after you leave Byram Hills?
I would say that someone who I would say on like the media side, like what I've done in that is just like trying stuff, like being innovative,
right.
Like not being afraid to try something new. That like before we came, and especially before my brother came, like there was no media department. Like there was no TVs in the school. Right. There was no like, I know my Bobcat with Malter, who I know you had on, like that was a big part of it too. But like the advertising and having other clubs come to us to like market what they want, like we opened a whole new corner.
Did you guys face obstacles
that was awesome.
in terms of the Blitz? Like, did you guys face a lot of obstacles in terms of starting something new and having to build it from the ground up?
I think one thing is just kind of convincing, like Mr. Melso, who I love, and I know
he was awesome.
Teo, you love too. Like, we wouldn't be able to do it without him. But like, pitching it to him, convincing him that like there's a concept here, and again, marketing it out. And my Bobcat was huge for that, because like, who actually like clicks the link in the Byram Hills Instagram bio? Like and Facebook, it's like they don't have that many followers, but like once we got it on the TVs in the school and on my Bobcat, that was pretty cool.
Totally. Yeah. So Teo, you want to answer the legacy?
Yeah. So my legacy, just thinking about this question, I always try my hardest in every like situation. I always think about like social situations. How can I best impact myself on others? And that's something that I try to emulate. Throughout my high school career, just trying, like if I'll have a conversation with an interviewee.
Right.
We had Nick and Cole on one time, and trying to relay that enthusiasm. I think that's what an announcer does. When we watch a basketball game together, I feel like we're just sitting on the couch and literally just talking about the game. That's what it feels like to me, and trying to relay the energy of that game. Like, remember that Byram Hills Poughkeepsie game when fortunately we lost on the last second shot, but you can feel that energy in our voices. I thought when we would have those big boys varsity basketball games against Rye, like our energy would be bigger, and as a result, I think there was more excitement, and that's something I think that's a metaphor for how I try to live.
Yeah.
Talking to anyone, if you bring that excitement in, I think people will take that and generate excitement and more energy, and it just becomes a more meaningful time for everyone.
Totally. I agree. So Goldie's last question that he asked, which is definitely a tough one, is what do you feel like people wouldn't know about you just by viewing you on the outside? Like, what bothers you that people think about you that you'd like to dispel, that you'd like to say that there's something else to you?
Okay. Everyone thinks I'm a photographer.
Okay.
I'm not a photographer. I know this is kind of like nitpicky and like, but Matthew, I know you've heard it, and Jake, you've probably heard it too. Maybe even Alex too. Like, people come to me saying, "Hey, can you like make a montage for me, or like shoot pictures of our family?" Like, I don't have a camera. This is my brother, and like, probably like Bobcat TV is part of it, but like, it's nitpicky, and I don't have like a deep answer for you. If I probably thought about it longer, I could, but that's bothered me.
What do you hope what would you like people to know about you that they might not, on the flip side of that?
That I'm a very creative person, that like I'm not afraid to like not do what everyone else is doing in terms of like going out there and whether like creating content or like just like, Jake, you come over to my house, maybe even Matthew too, like, and like play the sock game, for example, right? Like, we don't need to play like Monopoly or like Life to like, you know, like just like go out of the box and like
Yeah.
Have fun in ways that no one else has.
And now, that's totally like, that's why it was always like fun to be your friend, because you were always going to do something new every time. It's like the sock game, building the thing with the stuffed animals. Like, I think I want to give you a lot of credit. Like, I think that us being so close, like for so much of our childhood, has definitely brought out so much creative energy in me, because I remember I used to always be so jealous, because you would always used to say, like, I feel like I'm pretty creative, and I always used to agree with you. And I never thought of myself as a creative person ever. Like, I just never did. And now I think that I got a lot of my creative energy from you. So I'd like to thank you for that. Yeah. So Teo, you want to answer?
All right. So wait, can you repeat?
Yeah. So like, what do you feel like, what would you like people to know about you that they might not, and like correct any misconceptions that people might think about you?
So I think my perception, or my brand type of thing, is that I smile and I'm this very fun and happy and dilly-dally kid. And I think that kind of is my outside, but the inside is like this fire that wants to do more and work hard and have these checklists and get things done.
I feel like I never have to think twice. If I have like a random idea, right, that's something we could do, like I never have to think twice about bringing it up to you. Like, just like being committed, being focused, and like never letting like the stress of high school or like whatever's going on at home, whatever, like you always have a focus. I feel like that's like, especially like wherever you go, like college or whatever job you go into, like that's not, people don't have that. Like, people can't stay focused, and like if they're like doing homework or like they're like in the middle of something in their life right now, they can't stay focused on anything else. So
I wanted to say, like, I was just thinking about it, Teo. Like, it's just funny because like talking to you guys brings back so many memories. Like, you guys have all three of you guys have been parts of such different chapters of my life.
Yeah.
But like
I'm same with Alex. Like Alex and I used to be like early childhood.
Yeah.
Like, we used to go to each other's houses all the time. So like all four of us have like intertwined relationships.
I mean, you guys all obviously played such big roles in my childhood. It was just like I was just thinking about, like, I have all those memories with Jesse of playing those games. Like, I have memories of going to Teo's house when we were younger, and I just like thought about this. Like, you were saying you're so task oriented. Like, every time we would hang out, we would like do something totally like unusual, but it would always be task oriented. Like, I remember
you have a schedule.
There were nights when we would hang out, like I'd sleep over, and we would go through like an entire team's schedule and like predict their records, and we'd do that for like entire division. It was always task stuff. You could never just sit around. I don't remember ever watching like a movie with you. It was always like, just totally like, I just think it speaks to your character. Like, you're always trying to work to find that next thing that you can do, and that's how you can improve yourself. And I think those little games, like, however silly they might have seemed, like predicting records of teams, like I mean, it probably made both of us learn a little bit more about sports in a little bit of a way. A little chunk of us learned a little bit more about what we were talking about. So I just thought that was interesting. 3, 2, 1. Adios.
Adios, senor.
Adios, senor.